It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It means you're locked and loaded in to the Wrestling Inc. podcast, coming to you just moments after AEW Dynamite has concluded. We'll get down to business as always, but first, pleasantries and hellos to everybody. I am Justin LaBar, coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, being alongside the normal Wednesday crew. It's been a little bit of a boot scoot and boogie shuffle of schedule these past few weeks, but we have got it set tonight. First up north in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is long time, over 20 years, professional wrestling, sports entertainment referee extraordinaire. He is the Jimmy Korderas. And down south in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, she is our resident demon diva, Issa. Issa, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good. Happy to be talking some Dynamite with my two favorite Jays.
And Jimmy Korderas, how is life north o' the border?
Hey, life is grand if you like rain, which our plants and everything do, especially my wife's tomatoes and peppers and all that sort of stuff. We're doing okay.
Very good. Hey, I know that's important to you and the wife. I see the cooking that goes on in the Korderas kitchen. So ingredients are key.
Yes, food is not an issue up here. Let's put it that way.
What's your favorite dish to cook, Jimmy?
Oh my goodness, it's anything involving bacon. But I'll be honest with you, I love barbecuing, especially. I hate to sound, but souvlaki on the barbecue, souvlaki, and you can get souvlaki in all different kinds. You can get beef souvlaki, pork souvlaki, chicken souvlaki, and there's this other one that's called a kebab. That's kind of like a ground beef kind of ground meat thing that's spiced and put on a chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually fitted around a chopsticks. It looks like a long hot dog, so to speak, but those are awesome as well. And if you don't like meat, we could always serve you lamb.
There you go. The menu is well thought out.
Yes.
And the Korderas household. Very good. Very good. Loving seeing the chat room already filling up. I know obviously the link went out a few hours ago. So some people, if you ever wonder what it's like to watch this podcast live, if you're normally on the archive, the link goes out and people kind of join the chat room here on the YouTube video, and they just kind of have like their own little watch along party, whether they're doing it here, whether many of them are on Issa's live watch alongs that she's doing separately on her Twitter, which is at NYC Demon Diva. The I in Diva is the number one. So it's a real sense of community every time we got the podcast going here on most nights of the week on Wrestling Inc. And just a reminder, too, if you haven't done it yet, if you look below on the YouTube video in the About section, there is a link to a survey, I believe, and that survey is just a couple questions, just your own opinion, no right or wrong answer, just about what you do and don't like on the podcast here, and maybe what you want to see more or less of. So feedback always good to help steer the podcast for the people, by the people. All right. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the different things. Before we get into Dynamite tonight, let's talk about a news item on Wrestling Inc., one of just many, so make sure you're constantly bookmarking WrestlingInc.com. But here's one about a Rhodes, but not Cody. No, it is his older half-brother, Dustin. Dustin Rhodes will continue to be All Elite for a little bit longer. To be more specific, over a year, reportedly remaining on his contract with the company. Fightful Select reported that's how much time Rhodes has left on the deal. That the deal's up in September 2024. He's been with AEW since 2019, and that's the situation. So, this wouldn't necessarily normally be a big news item. It's just another a person who's on a contract for another 12 months plus. But Jimmy, I think that it brings note because obviously Cody Rhodes is having just the run that he's having in WWE. So naturally, when you hear about his brother and the other company and his contract, you're going to be interested. Knowing Dustin, Jimmy, having worked with him in the past, he's in his mid-50s at this point, in great shape. Would you think that it's pretty possible that he's going to go back to WWE in some capacity, even if it was backstage?
I don't see why not. I mean, wherever he ends up, he's going to be a valuable asset. Not in the ring, but behind the scenes. He is a great mentor. He's a great teacher. He knows how to work with younger talent right now. And that's the thing. You talk about trying to bridge the gap between old school and new school. Cody is great at that, but Dustin is really good at, we talk about the challenge of blending old school with new school to make it work in today's generation. I think Dustin is a good example of someone who can make that happen. and get the younger generation to understand that it's, sports entertainment is not necessarily a bad word.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who couldn't be further from his, the gimmick that made him the most famous. I mean, the androgynous Goldust, completely opposite of the spectrum of the Texas good old boy that is Dustin Rhodes. Issa, Dustin's been with the AEW since 2019. Obviously, they were a very new company then. They needed any and all help they could get from veterans who had credibility to help out behind the scenes. It seems like they are starting to fill even more of that position out with depth with the talent they have working backstage, whether it be as agents or whether it be helping in creative like Jimmy Jacobs, as we've been told. I almost wonder if the timing would work out that Dustin's contributions to AEW would be up and it's time for him to go back with his brother.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know that he's contributed a lot to the women's division, and a lot of people do speak very highly of him in AEW in regards to what he's helped the division and the women in this division. I agree with Jimmy on this one. I think AEW could benefit from still keeping him there. I think he's an asset no matter where he goes and whatever position he ends up. I also appreciate that as far as in-ring goes, they haven't overutilized him in AEW, and every time he comes out, he looks great. And it just makes you think, man, another run, maybe even something interesting, maybe a little Dusty versus Cody WWE edition of it. I don't know, but I like him a lot, and I'm just glad that he's doing well. I don't mind where he goes. He's gonna be an asset for whatever company gets him.
Yeah, I keep talking about him behind the scenes, but you say that, and obviously, overall with Triple H day-to-day booking seems more coherent and better in WWE, and obviously Cody is the biggest star he's ever been inside of WWE's walls. So, yeah, maybe in all the finishing the story and all the lineage, maybe even though Cody and Dustin fought in AEW, but doing it on the stage that is WWE, and obviously their father's influence on so many in that roster, that there could still be money to be made between the two Rhodes brothers.
I mean, AEW has been around for a while now. If you really think about it, they're about to celebrate their 200th episode, and that match between the two of them is still one of my favorite matches AEW has put on. And I think that wasn't the first pay-per-view.
Yeah, very good. I think so. Very good pool. Looking at the super chats, I believe this is 5 Canadian. Shelbowski asking rather, any plans on moving this show back an hour now that Busted Open does a 1 hour live show after Dynamite? Right now you're competing with each other for live audience. Well, nothing's been said to me. It wouldn't be our decision to be made. I guess I don't know if there's anything in that questionnaire that would necessarily
we're competing with audiences all over the place. Everybody on YouTube that covers wrestling does a Dynamite post show. This isn't just Busted Open. There's all kinds of names that are live right now.
Yeah, and quite honestly, just to Shelbowski, just to kind of give you some insight from my perspective that I can tell is, and I love the live audience. I'm always encouraging people to watch live because you can engage, interact with us, and we can literally have a conversation via chats and back and forth with you. So I love to have the live viewership as high as it possibly can. But much like with anything, most things, the bigger audience is on demand because people want to watch it or listen to it at their convenience on the platform they want. You can watch us live on a few platforms here right now, but not all platforms allow for live video. So really, as long as we're still doing a podcast, that's the important thing.
Exactly. And like you said, I'm one of those people like you. I prefer live, especially when I'm watching my wrestling shows too. You can obviously catch up later on, especially with today's technology. Everything is so easy to catch up on podcasts, on wrestling shows, on anything. But at the same time, it's kind of like watching. I know the Super Bowl is a big deal, but it's kind of like saying, "Oh, I gotta miss the Super Bowl," but it's okay. I can watch it later.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to. The podcast game. It's crazy how it's growing. Issa does a great job with, on her social of releasing clips from these episodes. Good sound bites, funny moments, whatever. There's so many different. Just to kind of put a pin on Shelbowski's question, there's so many different ways to present your stuff. So there's no point of us sitting around twiddling our thumbs for an hour after Dynamite's over just because other podcasts are going on.
Yeah, and I know you have an association with Busted Open, but we have been competing with people in live audiences from the beginning of times with Wrestling Inc. on all of our shows, not just our Wednesday show.
Yeah.
Call it the Wednesday Night Wars.
Yeah, there we go.
No, Jimmy, show.
There we go. So Suffin Elite Training giving Jimmy some love. Thank you to Troy. Yeah, thank you for watching YouTube. Appreciate the love. Slim, same. Appreciate the love. Spar with LaBar every Friday. We'll be back this Friday morning at 10:30.
Nice.
But Friday at 10:30 is a ways away, as relatively speaking. Let's talk about Dynamite that happened tonight, coming to you from Albany, New York. And we kick it off with the international champ, Orange Cassidy, up against AR Fox. But before we get to the match, they cut to a 1 minute video that Darby Allin is kind of telling the story of how he relocated from Seattle to Atlanta to pursue the wrestling dream. And he kept hearing about this guy named AR Fox. And so he trained at AR Fox's school, living out of his car. AR Fox says, "No, man, you're going to come live with me." Never charges him a dime. So the whole point, Darby saying how much AR Fox deserves to make it in the wrestling business after 16 years of being a vet. So, Issa, I love this little touch right away. I've liked AR Fox when I've seen him in the past. He's super athletic, but I thought just this 1 minute context of just hearing this story of how long he's been around and inspiring somebody like Darby. And Darby's final word is, without an AR Fox, Darby Allin probably doesn't exist. I thought this immediately just gave me more interest in what is every week in Orange Cassidy's title matches. It immediately gave me more interest. What say you?
It made me think, why are we making this about Darby Allin and not AR Fox? Why can't he cut his own promo? That's what I thought.
Well, in the moment, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I guess that we will at least get some answers to that of why they did it this way. But
because they made it about Darby Allin and not AR Fox.
fair. Jimmy, we always say, you and I, especially with something like Dynamite, AEW is very much a buffet. I think with this video package, rather than just picking something from the buffet blind, this allows you to smell the food first.
That's a good way to put it, because I understand Issa's point completely, but at the same time, finally they're giving us a little backstory here, regardless of who you think was the prime candidate here as the star of the video piece. It was a nice video telling us a story and getting people interested in what they're about to see, as opposed to going into the match just, oh, let's kick it off with, and you do the introductions, and here they come to the ring. This little backstory added something to it, especially in a match where you had two guys that are technically baby faces.
Yeah, don't assume that everybody knows who everybody is, that everybody watches everything. So this 1 minute just does a lot of wonders. And it's a good match. Super, a lot of spots. Like, oh my God. Orange Cassidy gets the win. But after the match, what looks like it's a sign of, as you said, Jimmy, two baby faces. Cassidy gives these sunglasses kind of like a little peace offering. AR Fox puts them on. Seems like we're going to be all buddy, but then Fox destroys the glasses and attacks Orange Cassidy. And then he looks a little conflicted that he did so and frustrated. And Darby comes out, and Darby confronts him and basically says, "You're embarrassing me. I've put my name, my reputation to you. What are you doing?" So setting up what will be revisited later on, spoiler alert for those of you listening to the podcast, of a AR Fox heel turn, it seems. And obviously this upsetting Darby. But overall, Jimmy, I thought we got a lot that happened, but it didn't feel too rushed. They kind of just let everything happen tonight in this opening segment, which I was pretty pleased with.
No, I'm fine with that. And I get what happened afterwards in the confrontation between Darby Allin and AR Fox after, the breaking of the sunglasses and the attack from behind and that sort of thing. That's fine. I don't mind it. But they had, I hate to jump ahead a little bit here, but they should have left it at that so that the fans and the audience, not only live, but the audience at home, could absorb what they just saw instead of going right into the next thing.
So, Issa,
give it a moment to breathe. Sorry. Give it a moment to breathe.
So, Issa, having said what you said a minute ago about the video, were you at all interested in AR Fox turning heel and attacking Orange Cassidy?
Turning heel and Orange Cassidy. I'm glad that things, and we'll get into it when we get to that segment. I'm glad that things ended where they ended because, again, up until this point, it felt very much about Darby more than AR Fox, because you're talking about how you wouldn't even exist or your character wouldn't exist without this person who coached you and trained you, and then you come out there and talk to him like that. What kind of respect is that? Like, you would assume that he would be more supportive of AR Fox than Orange Cassidy, but no, because Orange Cassidy is not even a pillar. I don't even know what went on here. I like the match a lot. I like AR Fox in the ring every time. I wish they would use him more because I always forget how good he is until you see him. And I really appreciate him tonight in a singles match because I feel like every time that he shined in AEW, it was in some kind of trios or tag team match. So just seeing him one-on-one in action was awesome. I share with you guys how the Orange Cassidy gimmick is not for me, but my God, when he gets in the ring, he's very good and he's just making everybody looks good. But his matches are becoming predictable. Like, you know who's going to win. They still don't make it any less good. And yeah, this turned around for me later on, but at this point, again, it felt very much like I felt like it was more about Darby than even Orange Cassidy or AR Fox. And AR Fox, if somebody tries to put some fake Ray-Bans on my face, I will probably snap too. So good for him.
And we should also know that this segment was not even fully over as Orange Cassidy then gets attacked by Jon Moxley. Again, more that would be...
too much going on in too many storylines like intertwined with each other here.
I missed this because, granted, I am kind of multitasking when I'm watching these, and I'm not multitasking because I don't care. I'm multitasking because I'm getting ready for this podcast. I'm writing, I'm searching socials. But maybe you guys saw this, or maybe also other people watching on the chat here want to chime in. Huffman Elite Training says Jim Cornette was talking about it, and I had to rewind it over and over, laughing in disbelief. AR Fox was clapping over his head while kicking in a match against the House of Black, worse than Thighs. Okay, so he's not talking about tonight. He's talking about a match.
Oh, okay. No, then.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what he's referencing. I'll have to if somebody has a link to that clip or something from, I guess, send it over. But
yeah,
that would be something if that's in fact what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Huffman saying that was a few months back. It was awful. Okay, well, hopefully somebody said something to him again, and he won't do that again on national TV in plain view.
Yeah.
All right. We see Don Callis backstage with Chris Jericho being interviewed by Renee.
We missed a spot here. Sorry.
What
I didn't mention it that Mox came out and attacked afterwards too.
Yeah, that's what I said a minute ago. Moxley attacked Orange Cassidy.
Sorry, you did, and that's what I'm. No, it's just no. It's just that you know what I mean. It just so much happened in that you know you had the confrontation between AR Fox and Darby, and you had Mox come out, and then you go without any breaks to the segment you're about to describe now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, no time to breathe and absorb.
Yeah, we got a lot. We got a heel turn from AR, or at least a frustrated, conflicted heel turn from AR Fox and him and Darby, and then Mox attacks OC. So there is a lot going on. You do need a scorecard. Again, we will get back to all of it. So at least it's like, I guess it's all just cliffhanging for the rest of the night. But it is a lot. You're right. And then we go right to this backstage segment with Renee talking to Don Callis and Chris Jericho, and Jericho seems to be moving closer and closer to accepting at least a trial run in the Don Callis family, and. Callis says, I know that you love Takeshita. You look at him as the future of wrestling. What if I could get you a tag match where you could tag with him and go up against Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara? And all of a sudden, that kind of put Jericho at a pause. He wasn't so sure about going up against his former buddies. And then Callis pulls out a painting to commemorate against some of their old times from back in the 90s that they showed a few weeks ago in video. So there's that, and then I'll just jump ahead and put this with it later. Later, we see Jericho backstage, and the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society, Anna Jay and Ty and Matt Menard and Angela, they're all waiting. They all want to talk to Chris, and so Chris says, "Yeah, let's talk." They go into the dressing room, and they all basically kind of just tell Chris Jericho that he doesn't appreciate them, and that right now they can't fully stand behind him. He says, so some story going on here, I guess, right? I mean, Jericho now torn between his most recent faction and joining a new faction.
Yeah, I mean, they've been teasing this, but again, I told you that the red flag for me is that Jericho's not a follower. I don't see Jericho joining. Jericho is the one that creates these factions. But on that note, we did see Don Callis do the painting thing with Omega. So I kind of pop a little bit for him trying to take the exact same approach with Jericho. And yeah, JAS, I don't know. It wasn't called the Appreciation Society. It was called the Jericho Appreciation Society. Like, what are you talking about? You know, this wasn't a let's appreciate each other society. They were there for Jericho. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I get it, and maybe it's just because I like the heels and everybody likes that. But it's like Jericho doesn't owe you guys anything. Relax.
All right, Jimmy, you're Canadian. Figure this out for me. We can figure out what Jericho. I mean, Jericho's Canadian. Don Callis is Canadian. I mean, figure this out for me here.
Well, I would love to figure it out, but they're both from Winnipeg, so it's kind of tough for me to figure it out. But I like where this is going because it's a lot of questions because it's got people guessing. You know, everybody thinks they know what's going to happen next. Oh, well, Jericho's going to do this and Don Callis is going to do that. We don't know. We don't know which direction this is leading. Who's going to do what to whom, or if anything at all, or is this going to be a Winnipeg partnership? Let's put it that way. Yeah. So it's keeping everybody guessing. It's keeping everybody in tune. And again, the story is what is drawing me in.
Yeah, I'm intrigued just to see where it goes, but I don't know if you ask me what would be a satisfying payoff. I'm not sure what that would be. So I guess I'll just kind of hang out and keep watching some more. No chat associated with it, but we got Ryan Ramirez with 99 cents. So thank you, Ryan. If you did have something you wanted to send, I'll try to keep my eye open for it. We got Corey shooting a shot at Issa. Hello, Issa. Hot Issa. Why the super chat's loading slow? St. Floyd. Any chance Santana and Ortiz come back to reform the inner circle? I don't. Last I heard, they don't really want to be working together, so I don't know if where things stand there. Dylan says, in other words, Jericho is turning on Don. Which, if that happens, I mean, Don doesn't wrestle ever anymore. I don't know if Don would do a match with Jericho, even if it was kind of a gimmicky manager versus wrestler match. Another super chat here. This is coming from Yes Boy, $5. Thank you, Yes Boy. Didn't they tease a Thunder Rosa return before the Collision debut? When's the payoff?
They did. But it wasn't. I mean, I guess it was a tease of a return. She said she was gonna go and talk to Tony. You know, that's the same episode where we saw Miro. Yeah, we haven't seen the payoff yet, but Collision is also young still, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm fine with spreading out the returns or surprises or whomever to kind of establish who's the Collision roster.
Right.
And of course, it's no secret. I'm not saying anything. I don't think I'm a turn. If you listen to Thunder, who's on Busted Open on Fridays, when I'm on, she's talked about she's still getting through all the medical protocols and things she's got to do to get herself back and healthy. So hopefully sooner rather than later. But I don't mind them waiting and making it a big deal. Don't just bury it as a moment in a show with 5 other would-be moments. Beer Money says Don's scar makes him look like a movie villain. Yeah,
it does.
It really does. It actually, it does. Good call.
Nice.
Good call. All right. Let's keep it moving here. Again, thanks to all of you in the chat. Let's go to the FTW champion, Jack Perry, as he comes out to talk with Tony Schiavone. He taunts at Taz. He's wearing an I Beat Hook shirt. He's dressed in orange and black colors. He says that when Taz created this title, it was in a second-class company with a bunch of scumbags. Now that Jack Perry's holding it, at least brings some honor and prestige, makes it a real deal. He then directs his comments to Taz and says, I would run circles around you and those bums. And then here comes Jerry Lynn, backstage agent, but also, of course, an ECW original and veteran. And he comes out and says that without ECW, there'd be no guys like Jungle Boy. And then seems to be ready for a fight, but Jack Perry kind of
Jungle Boy is so ECW. Anyway,
and then it seems to be ready to throw down with Jack Perry, and Jack Perry said, I'm not really ready to fight tonight. I'm not dressed for it, but come next week, I'll kick your ass. So you seem fired up, so I might as well hit you while the iron's hot. Jack Perry. First off, Jack Perry is a heel. You and I really haven't got to talk about this because we haven't been on much. Jack Perry is a heel, and then Jack Perry versus Jerry Lynn. Like a lot of questions here.
Look, I'll start with the positive. I love the heat that he was getting. I said it a couple of weeks, and I'll repeat it. The boy learned from Christian because the boos were hot. However, I wasn't a fan of this promo. I'm very big on presentation, right? And I thought they were doing a good job with him the last few weeks, but now he beats Hook. Okay, I like the I beat Hook shirt, but that could have been presented with some pants, with a jacket. He came out looking like a 12-year-old going to a basketball practice, and I'm supposed to buy him as the bigger heel in the company. No, the one problem that you have with people like Hook, with people with Jungle Boys, they look young. And if you're trying to sell them to us as a bad guy, a bad character, that presentation that you put out there today is not it. Not it. So I couldn't buy it. I couldn't take this seriously. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Jerry Lynn thing is a little intriguing because I was a big fan of Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam matches back in the 90s. But that aside, I kind of agree with the Jack Perry stuff. I'm sure he's out there trying. And Jimmy, speak to this, on what you think here. I think he's out there trying, of course, but and he's trying to talk with a little more bass in his voice. He's trying, but East is right. He looks like he's going for a pickup game of basketball. At least do some things like, come out in a jacket and then do the big reveal of the I Beat Hook shirt, make a big deal of that, or do some heelish things because he just looks like a kid who'd be a stoner like from the 70s who's just right. Talking a lot of shit.
No, absolutely. And like you said, last week or last few weeks, he's looking like he was finding a groove. He was getting comfortable in this heel and this heel persona. And like you said, he was getting some great heat and you were going, oh, this is good. This is the way it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to be, hey, I like this guy as a heel. Yay. That sort of thing. Leave that to us. We like doing that stuff. But, he's on the road. And tonight, I found the same thing with him tonight that I found with Ricochet on Monday night. And I'm not trying to, make comparisons, but that they took a step backwards because it felt like they were doing something out of promo class as opposed to, Jack Perry being Jack Perry himself as a heel. It was almost like he
dressed like he was in rehearsals.
No, and that's the other thing too. I don't get me wrong. I'm not into the merchandise side of business, but at the same time, it says in little letters, I beat, and then big letters, Hook. Have the whole thing a big presentation. I beat, beat. You want beat in big letters too, Hook. It's a little thing, but little things matter too.
Here's another kind of maybe, I don't know, obvious. Like, he's out there, he's just beat Hook. Mm-hmm. And then he's out there trash talking the FTW title. And why is it Jerry Lynn? Why does it Taz stand up and come to the ring? Taz is Hook's real life father. Taz is the one who actually created the FTW title. Like, that would be far more. And I don't know. Like, I mean, why doesn't Taz get up for the commentary desk and do that? Why? I don't know. That was another miss to me.
That's a good point. I guess, maybe somewhere down the line they're thinking of doing something with him and Taz. I don't know. But at the same time, it's kind of like, yes, we know Jerry Lynn was part of the ECW gang back in the day. But at the same time, unless you're really hardcore, everybody's like, oh, wow, Jerry Lynn's going to answer the call for the old guys?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this one definitely, I guess, a cliffhanger of like they tease it next week where we might get something. So we'll see if that's the case, or if another ECW person shows up, or if it's Taz, or again, obviously it's no secret Tony Khan loves his original ECW. So
when he came out and cut that first heel promo, the weird video of him burying, he killed a guy thing. Yeah, that was weird. But he came out in the jacket with the dark music. He cut the promo. I did think that worked a little bit better than what we got from him tonight. And somebody that when you came out there, you didn't really have anything to brag about as a heel. Tonight, you came out there, you beat Hook, you now hold a championship. You have Taz right there. I felt like there was so much to work with tonight that it kind of fell flat for me, what they ended up doing.
Yeah. I should know, too, because people were asking about where's Hook and this and that. They did show a Hook, like, video vignette of him, like, sitting in, like, a subway bench, and then a train goes by, and then eventually he disappears, and it just says Hook, so I'm not... I guess it's just like it's just
New
a sign
York City. He probably got eaten by a rat.
Yeah.
I guess it's just that Hook is still around. He's going to resurface. He's going to reset, and he'll be around. So we'll see. St. Floyd doing some fantasy booking that maybe RVD gets involved. Tony Khan could reunite RVD with his Pantera entrance music. ECW was known for their entrances, and that was obviously right. Sandman had the biggest. But that was RVD had a pretty big entrance as well. You're right with the Pantera music. Okay, we get the Bastard Pack up against Gravity, and again they showed a quick little clip of Gravity fighting Commander on ROH. So if you didn't watch ROH, I didn't watch ROH. You at least can say that there's Gravity, and he's making his AEW. What are you laughing at?
Because this was such a Mark thing to book. The man that Gravity forgot against Gravity? Come on.
Well, the Pac wins. The man that Gravity forgot. He makes Gravity submit. Jimmy, what side of Gravity are you on here with us?
No, it was what it was, I guess. For lack of a better term,
Rampage match. Say it, Jimmy.
Yeah, pretty much as Jeff Hardy let us know, it is the B show, so that's probably where this match belonged. And I picking on referees the way I do. Yes, I get sometimes you can fudge the numbers when stuff is going on outside, but there was so much going on outside that the referee was doing a lot of fudging with the numbers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, you had Pac walk away from the Blood and Guts last week. I believe he fought Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Championship, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't been able to follow up with Ring of Honor. And then this is what you do with him on Dynamite? It feels like he was involved in he just came back. It feels like he was involved in some big things. And I mean, good for Gravity for not being forgotten. But it was just a match that was there.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't. It's there. If I go through the entire show here, this is kind of the thing I'd circle is like, at least with the confusion and the stuff we're talking about with Jack Perry, I am interested in what happens next week, and of course we'll get some more with some of the stuff that happened in the first segment. But yeah, this one was this one felt like I don't know. Yeah, it's just there. I don't know what if we'll get more reason of why it had to be there, but all right, then we get a promo. Both were recorded last week after their match on Dynamite last week. First, it is We're Better Than You, Baby. It is MJF and Adam Cole being interviewed by Renee, and they're talking about now how they're going to go up against FTR this Saturday, July 29th on Collision for those tag titles, but they're gushing over being best friends with each other and just more bonding, this and that. And MJF even says that after the July 29th match, that I will give you, Adam Cole, a rematch at my world title. So we are just all the feels, all the happiness. And then Roderick Strong comes in and he just cannot.
Stage 5 Klinger.
Oh, he cannot believe that Adam Cole is daring to trust MJF. And then on the flip side, and of course I should mention that their MJF mocks and makes fun of the way Dax Harwood talks. And then we get a counter promo also from last week of FTR saying they hate MJF. He's a generational ass kisser. They're sorry, Adam Cole, that you're being brought into this, but if you're in their way, we're going to deal with you. So, Jimmy, interesting choice for them. This is one of the hottest angles, probably, obviously, maybe arguably the hottest angle the company has. Your thoughts about them this week, featuring it all as a backstage pre-tape and not doing anything in front of the live crowd? Do you like that? Are you okay with it?
I'm again, I hate to sound like I'm sitting on the fence here because I liked what I was hearing. I just wish that it would have been stuff that was happening in the ring and maybe some interaction between the two. Let's say FTR comes out to the stage and they react or whatever the case may be. Maybe there's some travel issues. Maybe I don't know some booking issues. I don't know what the reasoning was for doing it this way, but it makes for better television and better response for the audience when it feels like it's done live, when it feels like it's done there. At least have half of the crew there live in front of the audience to make this presentation. You could have even had the other guys working from the back and being on the big screen.
Yeah, Issa, if I'm a paying customer in Albany, unless they came out in a dark situation, I'd be pretty pissed that I don't get to see MJF and Adam Cole live.
It's Albany, LaBar. Who cares? It's not even real New York. Anyway.
Wow.
Well, that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Good.
Yeah, we just lost our entire Albany market.
Listen, come on. 10 years in New York City. What do you expect me to say? You know how we are. So I am okay with this in a way because I did like seeing a little bit of a more serious side to MJF, right? We're loving everything that they're doing with Better Than You, baby. But I love seeing that intensity come back in MJF. The promo that he cut was great. I love what Saint brought up in the chat, though, because Dax went on to cut the exact same promo that MJF said he was going to cut. And I was laughing hysterically at it. I like that he offered Adam Cole the rematch. I feel like Adam Cole is ahead of MJF on this one, and I hope that MJF is smarter. I'm invested, but I'm glad that they kind of pull back on the silliness and all the stuff. Makes us want to see it, makes us miss it, and it brings back a little bit of a serious side of MJF. And we're bringing the AEW World Championship into the mix because it's been all about the tag team championships. Now, FTR, they did exactly what MJF said they were going to do. And listen, I like to have fun. So for them to come out and say, you're making a mockery of the tag team division, it's like, stop, chill. We're having fun. We like the dance off. We like the push up. His body slam Big Bill. It's being fun. Why are you going to ruin the fun? Probably because he's friends with CM Punk. I don't know what's going on here, but he needs to relax. It's not that deep.
Tell us how you really feel. All right, well, so this Saturday, MJF and Adam Cole versus FTR. Give me your calls, Jimmy. Are we going to see new tag team champions?
I got a feeling no, we do not see new tag team champions.
No.
I would like to see maybe Roddy come out and not intentionally cause them to lose, but because I think they've stumbled into gold here with this combination of Adam Cole and MJF. The crowd is into it. I think it's too soon for them to break up. And I'm just trying to think of a way that maybe they could keep them together without having them win the titles. So
well, that's where I'm stuck. I agree with you. They've stumbled into gold. I would think in order to buy yourself more time, realistically, these guys would have to win the tag titles.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Jimmy.
No. I get that, but there's got, I'm trying to think of a creative way to have them stumble out of winning the tag titles. Maybe even a Roddy causes an unintentional disqualification or something, DQ, whatever the case may be. There's got to be a way to get around it because I want this team to stay together and be together. Like last week when they teased that a little bit of dissension, I thought too soon. And they tried to mend the fence tonight, but Issa, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Issa, presumably, Issa, both give me your prediction for the Saturday. And I mean, Cole versus MJF is still what we're going to build to for Wembley, right? And that's a month away as of tomorrow.
Yeah, because of that, I feel like maybe we don't see new tag team champions and something happens, something goes wrong here. But if I'm gonna give you my fan, wishes, I wish they would win it. I do, but I don't see it happening. But I wish, and if they did, I wouldn't be mad.
I mean, if they don't, I think if they don't win it Saturday, then we do start the one is blaming the other kind of with some subtle backhanded comments, but still trying to do it with a smile on their face, very passive aggressiveness. Like, oh man, we lost. I mean, I thought we could have won if only you would have hooked the leg there and been there. But hey, it's okay. It's okay. I think we start if they don't win it, that's what I think we have to start going to. Because I mean, if they're gonna have a match again in a month, we gotta start to take away what people are loving, which is the buddy, and somebody's gonna have to turn heel. Presumably, obviously, Max goes back to being the asshole.
That's why I was saying maybe introduce Roddy into this thing.
Right.
You have to introduce Roddy.
Because that way they have an out, in my opinion. A potential out, anyways. Let's put it that way.
Man, imagine if you're Roderick Strong, right? And you're thinking to yourself, like, oh my God, Bobby Fish is gone. Kyle O'Reilly's injured. I finally get Adam Cole all to myself. And then Adam Cole goes and replaces you. He's been waiting years to win that position. And Adam Cole is like, I have other friends, okay? Roddy's like, I know, I've been dealing with it for years. I'm into what Roderick Strong is going through. Poor guy.
You can't sit with us, baby.
Tremendous.
All right. Well, we'll see. Tune in Saturday to Collision, and we'll find out what happens there. Okay, up next, we got Swerve Strickland up against Darby Allin. I usually don't go blow for blow on moves, so I got to point out Swerve doing a Death Valley driver off the second rope onto the apron. I know AEW's rings are custom, and and their apron is wider than most any other ring would be, so it's not as much of a spine. There's a little bit more room for you to take a flat bump, but even still,
it's solid.
It's so solid, right? I mean, when I watch them do these bumps on the apron, I'm like, if you're off just a few inches, somebody's going to get snapped in half.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's that. A disguised AR Fox, poorly disguised AR Fox, comes out. He attacks Darby.
Horrible disguise.
And that leads to Swerve getting the win here. So, and then Prince Nana gives a new Mogul Embassy shirt to AR Fox. So AR Fox it looks like he is in the stable that I feel like has just had a revolving door of people. Like so I don't know that this again. Fox follows up with what we saw earlier, but I don't think that this. I would rather AR Fox remain solo. I don't him being in this stable, Jimmy, to me does not help him.
No, I don't. It doesn't add anything for him. And like you said, he is a great solo star. And it could have been, hey, he gets offered a position in the group, and he could have turned it down and said, I didn't do this for you. I did this for me. Something simple like that, and walk out.
Yeah.
Yes, you're kind of turning your back on the heels, but at the same time, you kind of turned heel already anyways. So I don't know. I think you're right, Justin. I think him joining the group doesn't benefit him at all. In fact, again, you talk about a step backwards. I think it is a step backwards.
It kind of waters down the work they were trying to do with him tonight of making him now a new heel. Around Issa, when are you joining the Mogul Embassy?
I'm not, but good. That spot's gonna live in my head rent free.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those spots that you just watch and you're like, did I just you have to clear your eyes. I like what they did with AR Fox here because then it made the rest of the beginning of the show make sense. So they're telling a story throughout the show, which is something that it's obviously successful. But yeah, I didn't like him. I didn't like seeing him join the embassy. I didn't need that part of the story. I could have just had him attack Darby and that be the end of it and see where it goes. But yeah, I thought this was and Nick Wayne being featured here as well.
Yeah, Nick Wayne. It's a little bit of chaos post match, and Nick Wayne's out there, and again Prince Nana's out there.
It was chaos post match in every match tonight. Let's just
right. Yeah, and I get why they were doing this, trying to further the story with AR Fox and Darby at the same time, like you said, that devastating Death Valley driver off the top. And all the other stuff that was done to Darby in this match. And I get they're trying to make him look like a tough SOB. But after all that, it took outside interference to beat him. You know what I mean? It just it
kills the value of the move.
Exactly. Thank you.
And why kill the value of a move that could kill you?
Exactamundo, as a cool guy used to say back in the day.
So a lot of things there. A lot of things to take away. I think it's we laid it all out there. So Swerve and AR Fox heels all together in the embassy, and Darby and Nick Wayne, so we can see kind of where we're headed here for a future tag match. All right, we get the it's 9:25. Choo-choo! That train's never late. It's time for your women's match tonight. It is Dr. Britt Baker up against Taya Valkyrie. First time ever meeting between these two, at least on TV. And this was what it was at one point. And both of these women are very athletic. At one point, though, they did look like, I don't know if it was a little blown up or they looked like they started moving in slower motion and like strikes and kicks started, whatever. I don't know. Maybe those.
There was a disconnect at one spot. I saw it as well.
Yeah, but nonetheless, they fight through it. Both ladies do, and we do get Britt. Eventually, she gets her jaw locked in, and Taya Valkyrie. I mean, talking about putting Britt's submission over. Taya tapped almost immediately. Which that was huge. So Britt gets to win. So good for Britt. And I have to point this out because this is what we do. Did anybody else notice? Britt wins, whatever. And obviously you always want to cut to the crowd and get reaction shots. They cut to a shot, and it didn't even seem like it was an accident. It's not like they even quickly cut back away from it.
No, they kept it there.
They stayed for 3 to 5 seconds of a person holding a sign saying "Book the women's division better."
Right.
Yep.
What?
As you have the women out there at 9:30. I mean, I do have respect for a match that we haven't seen, but you also gave us a match between two women that need the wins. I love Britt Baker. I think she's the biggest star they have created, and we saw her beat a jobber in a match that they put there just to put the women on the card last week. That match lasted 60 seconds. I need Britt Baker to be doing more than that. And you put her against Taya Valkyrie, who I think is phenomenal. She's got the look, she's got the it factor, but she's done nothing but lose since she came to AEW. So don't give me a 9:30 match between two women that need the win. But I thought the back and forth was good, and they gave them time. I will say that this match went on for a little bit, but the book the women's division sign, I just clap. I'm like, why are you even showing it? Like, why are you even calling yourself out?
No.
Jimmy, thoughts on the ladies tonight?
No, I thought they worked hard. It just for some reason they didn't feel like they gelled. There was a few times in the match where you just went, oh, that didn't look smooth. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it should look, choreographed or anything like that. But at the same time, it just felt like these ladies were not gelling together, for lack of a better term. And as you said, both ladies could have used the win here. Obviously, Taya Valkyrie could definitely use the win. And there is a way of getting her over without going over. And that didn't happen tonight either. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't gel. And people I think more people noticed than should have.
Bernie, yeah. DC, Bernie, I agree with this, not just in this use here by Britt, but I agree with this move all in general. The Panama Sunrise, it's never a finisher anymore. Right. It's always just it's a really cool high spot, but it's always a 2 count, and I'm baffled by that, because it's like this is a pile driver with extra rotation. This should be dunzo, and it's not treated that way. But there's a lot of other moves, as we just talked about a few minutes ago, that aren't treated that way, which is kind of a segue to this next super chat from Terry Allen Jr. as he asks us which finisher you trio love watching. I'll just say this, and I'll also do you guys. I'm big on finishers being moves that you can execute somewhat quickly and you can do to anybody.
Right.
Panama Sunrise, I guess you can do it to anybody, but there's a setup to it. I mean, but I do like Adam Cole's lowering the boom. I like a knee to the back of the head. You can do it to anybody, and if you think about it, a knee to the back of the head, especially the way he does it, should be devastating. But he says there a finisher that you like, or I guess in any wrestling, I guess it doesn't have to be just AEW.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of finishers that I like, but I'm with you on that. I'm a big fan of the quick, easy, and actually finishing matches. I'm a huge fan of the end of days. I love the end of days. I will never stop fighting over letting Drew McIntyre kick out of it, because it was such a protected move, and he kicked out of it. Yeah, it was in the grandest stage of it all, but it was in a match that was for nothing, and it still drives me crazy, because I think the end of days is a beautiful looking move, underrated.
Right.
Jimmy, finisher?
No, you had something as wonderful as Steve Austin's Stone Cold Stunner. Like you said, simple, can do it to anybody. And nowadays, Seth Rollins and the Stomp.
Yeah.
Those
Stomp is amazing.
They're moves that work.
Roman with the Superman punch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Terry, for the question there.
There's certain finishers too that work just because of the fact that nobody kicks out of them. Like when you see Kenny Omega hit that one wig angel, you just automatically get off from your chair because people just do not kick out of it. I feel like there's such a psychology behind the finishers that it depends on what kind of match I'm watching. But yeah, I just a fan of them finishing matches, or when they finally get a kick out, it needs to feel like, holy crap kind of moment.
Right. Thanks to the Slayer 94, $2 for the super sticker. Much appreciated there. All right, just as we get ready to go into the finish, I saw somebody else, Wayne, here with the arcade. Yeah, I mean, out of nowhere, can do it to anybody. Can
Claymore, the Claymore and the Bro kicks also.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, especially
with McIntyre doing the stupid countdown, because when he hits the Claymore out of nowhere, it's so much more interesting than when he does the dumb countdown. I hate it.
Yeah, and we mentioned the spear, did we? Yeah.
No, I don't think I said Roman's punch, but the spear as well.
Spear as well.
Here's my thing with the spear. I am picky about who does a spear.
Yeah,
I know he's a Hall of Famer. I know
Edge spear sucks.
I know he for Jimmy. I know he's a friend. I never when Edge started doing a spear, I'm like, he's not built to do a spear. Like, give me the execution or give me any of the stuff that he had in his repertoire. You need to be a certain size to do the spear. Like Roman, I'm fine with it. Obviously, Rhino, fine with it. Goldberg, I'm fine with it. I mean, like
Bobby Lashley does.
Lashley, the way he rolls forward, it makes it like. But there's other guys when you're built a different size, don't want to see you spear.
Unless you're coming off a ladder and somebody's hanging from.
Yeah, that's a whole different case.
Okay, you do that spear, and I saw that one live in Houston. Saw that one live. You do that spear, you never do another spear again because you're never going to top that spear.
Right. Correct.
I can still see that one from.
Yeah.
Oh God, that must have been the best POV ever.
Oh, man.
I know. I know Edge is very concerned over what I think of his spear. Just...
If you watch closely, not trying to put myself over, but if you watch closely, while that's going on, down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen when they're showing the hard camera shot, there's a certain striped shirt guy trying to pull a ladder out of the way to make sure Jeff and Edge didn't land on it. I'm going, oh my God, I can't get this. Like,
Did you know?
You were obvious about it.
Did you know prior to that moment right there in time? Did you know that was a spot they were going to do? Did you know in the back they're doing that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that spot is way too risky for you guys to not like really talk it over before, right? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew, and that's why I was like, oh, is that ladder too close? And I did, because they don't like us being visible doing stuff like that, right? But,
yeah, I was literally just talking to Hugo. He was here in Puerto Rico. He just had his last match last Saturday. Bless his heart. And I was talking to him about the Undertaker and Mankind when Taker threw Mankind onto the Spanish announce table and what he knew and how many times they told them they weren't going to do it, but then they ended up doing it. And he told me the entire experience of that day. One of the most fascinating conversations I've had.
Incredible.
Yeah, I was there live, and that was certainly one of those moments again that you never forget because rarely can you say, even in 2001, rarely can you say you see something in pro wrestling like that you hadn't seen before, and holy hell, very cool stuff. All right, before we get into the main event here of Dynamite, just a reminder again, like or subscribe, whatever platform you like to enjoy this podcast, audio, video. Please subscribe. Please leave a comment, nice 5-star rating. Whatever you could do, fill out the questionnaire. Hopefully it's positive if you're watching for 52 minutes in at this point. You're watching because you enjoy some aspect of this podcast. Please do all the things. Help us out. Show some love. We got a lot coming up. We got SummerSlam coming up, and of course we got the whole back end of the year premium live events, and we got next year with Rumble and Mania in Philadelphia. Maybe we all end up in the city of Brotherly Love. Who knows? So a lot of things could be done. A lot of things very exciting that all can be helped by your feedback. So please do all of that. All right, main event time. It is a triple threat tag team match already in the ring. They got the jobber entrance, best friends in the ring, and then here comes Lucha Brothers, and then here comes Moxley and Claudio from the Blackpool Combat Club. BCC's in the driver's seat for a lot of this match. That's the story here. And then here comes Orange Cassidy for redemption. So he starts fighting with them. And while that's all happening, Penta hits his finisher and gets the win. So Lucha Brothers get the win, but then post-match, it's chaos with Orange Cassidy and everybody fighting. And then commentary says that Tony Khan has just made the match official next week. Dynamite 200. It is 3 AEW Dynamite originals. Jon Moxley versus Trent Beretta versus Penta. Anything goes match. Jimmy, I got to say, I mean, obviously, I wasn't really that engaged in this. I mean, there's a lot going on, but based upon what we saw elsewhere in the night, I was a lot more intrigued by some of the other stories tonight. Mm-hmm. This was just, and maybe they just have a philosophy. Maybe they've learned something about their main event numbers or the main event audience, and that time slot is what it is. So they're not necessarily putting out the best thing. But then again, they're also trying to close some stories that they started telling at the beginning of the night with Cassidy, whatever. So what did you make of this, again, this choice for a main event segment?
I thought it was a curious choice for a main event segment. And yes, we had some main event players in there. Let's put it that way. With you had, Mox in there and stuff like that, who are big time guys. But again, Best Friends versus Lucha Brothers versus Blackpool Combat Club. Were there any rules to this? They talked about the 3-way that's happening next week. Anything goes. Anything went in this match. So what's the difference here?
Did after Orange Cassidy comes out and starts fighting off Moxley, then we got a pin attempt. I forget who did it to who, but I believe was and the ref wouldn't count it. Was he trying to say, "Oh, that's not the legal man"? Was that what happened?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he's trying to say. And then it was just too confusing and hard for the audience to follow, especially when you've got 3 teams out there that's supposed to be a 3-way tag team match, and for most of the match, there was only 2 teams up on the apron, so it looked like a regular tag match for a lot of it, and then. Like you said, it ended in chaos. That's the exact word I have written down in my notes too. Chaos, going off the air in chaos and screaming out, "Oh, next week this," while this chaos is going on. It wasn't engaging where, "Oh, I wonder what happens here." It was like, you got to be kidding me. Give me something to want to see, not just a bunch of gaga. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of goo, a lot of gaga. Issa, did you follow along with what was going on here?
I was too busy trying to figure out why was this the main event. And then I realized when I watched the rest of the matches that were on tonight's episode, there was no other choice for the main event. I mean, nothing here could have. I'm sorry. Like it was such a skippable show tonight. I mean, there was some good things about it. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like nothing is being built for All In or All Out. We're a month and a week away from your biggest pay-per-view ever. It was a match. It was there. What do you want me to say? Moxley didn't bleed. Moxley didn't bleed. Hey. Hey.
You honestly could have. I don't know what this says. Actually, I know what it says. It says how good these particular individuals are. You could have still had this trio, or even not trio. You could have this three-way tag match and put it somewhere else on the card and whatever. Mm-hmm. Let the Orange Cassidy thing happen. Whatever. You could have, if they would have took the pre-tape, if they would have gave us the FTR and MJF Adam Cole, if they would have gave us that back and forth, but had it been live in the ring in front of the audience, and then Roddy comes out, and we just kind of have a great way
to go home for commission. Yeah,
we kind of have like the Jerry Springer, no, Adam, don't try, whatever. If we going off the air with that, all the while FTR's,
yeah,
that would have been a more interesting main event, and that would have. I guess that speaks to MJF and Adam Cole. You could have took something that you put as a pre-tape halfway through the show. That could have been your main event. The pre-tape thing could have been your main event, and you would have probably had a bigger.
That's great feedback. And if you look at the numbers and the ratings, MJF and Adam Cole are drawing. Their segments are their highest views. So put that at the end. It's a win-win situation for everybody. But yeah, I mean, and it ended in chaos, just like every other match on this show. It just felt, again, like, I mean, I was entertained. There was some good wrestling, but it just felt like a show that was just there. Nothing that was must watch. And when you're a month away from your biggest pay-per-view, it doesn't feel like we should be putting on skippable episodes of Dynamite.
Yeah. I mean, the match that's the biggest match on Collision this Saturday is this tag match, this tag title match. So why wouldn't you end tonight with the lead to that?
Because they're treating Collision and Dynamite like two complete different shows. They even feel like two complete different shows. So I don't know why they're not putting this big match that's happening in Collision a little more over on Dynamite. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other thing I found tonight too is for the last couple of weeks they've been pacing their show a little better. Yes, last week they said they had to go home a little earlier than they went a little with the main event, that blood and guts match and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, the shows have been paced better. Tonight, it felt like they were trying to get, again, as I like to say, 20 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound bag. They tried to cram in so much stuff in places where you needed to let the audience breathe, relax, and absorb what they saw. They were giving us too much to try and take in, and nothing stuck, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Somebody said I enjoy Wednesday Night Rampage.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Thank you, St. Floyd.
I think Collision is better than Dynamite, according to Huffman saying Issa forget two separate companies, or forget two separate shows. It feels like two separate companies.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's sometimes I also think too. It's like. And that's why I get excited when you hear about Jimmy Jacobs and other people that are being brought in supposedly to help with creative and allocating whatever. And sometimes I think when you have better pacing, maybe that is the process. It's not just one person like Tony Khan. But then I always get back to, I think Tony Khan is such a wrestling fan, which is a beautiful thing. Because I mean, Tony Khan, let's be honest, Tony Khan is if any of us had billions of dollars to have a bankroll, you'd like to think, okay, I'm Tony Khan. I have billions of dollars and I'd have my own wrestling company. What would I do?
I 1000% book Pac versus Gravity. 1000%.
Well, but what I'm getting at is, we when you talk critical of Tony, it makes it sound like, oh, you're hating or you're jealous or whatever, because wouldn't you love to be a super wrestling fan with that kind of bankroll, with that kind of ability to shake up the business? But at the same point, I have to honestly ask and say, does he just love pro wrestling so much that he's thinking, I gotta get everybody out there. Everybody's gotta have a match. Everybody, more. We gotta have chaos after every single match, and more. And we gotta get this person on there, and we don't want to shortchange the audience. They got to see Gravity this week, and it's almost like you need somebody. I don't want to say that, like, I don't know. It's almost like you need somebody there to like filter them and say, look, this portion of the audience gives no crap about this person this week. They want to see where the MJF and Cole soap opera goes. They want to see it's almost like you need somebody to honestly tell him, you're booking too much for what you're enjoying. book more for what's going to be a broader appeal.
Exactly. And because like we said, like a lot of us say, AEW caters to that hardcore audience, and people are saying, well, that casual audience isn't there anymore, which you can dispute because you see the numbers that things like SmackDown is doing. Yes, they're on Fox, which is different, and stuff like that, but they are drawing an audience. And you can't tell me that the entire audience that they draw is, the typical hardcore, all in wrestling.
No, I told the story before. I was in Maryland several months ago unfortunately for a funeral, and somebody in my family who has been my family my entire life. I know my entire life, and she's like an older sister to me, and she's never cared about wrestling, never cared about it, never ever. And she has, because her husband watches, she got pulled into the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Uso stuff as we led to Mania. She was actually intrigued by the story. She didn't care to see the match, or she wanted to just find out the result of the conflict, but she didn't care about the exit of the match. But she was drawn into the story, and that's the kind of silly stuff. It's like, we're also removed from it because we're so hardcore into it. But it's like that's what you're aiming for, is to get somebody.
Wrestling is in a booming period again, and not just WWE, all wrestling, and AEW needs to capitalize on it, because I've seen it from all aspects. Like you just said, I've had people approaching me that I wasn't aware that they even like wrestling. They started watching, or they're getting into storylines, and even some of the local independent events that I've been covering. I had like a cousin my other day called me, and she was like, "Hey, can you get me tickets to that WWC event?" And I'm like, "I didn't even know you like wrestling." She's like, "Well, I'm getting back into it." And I'm like, it feels like it's a really good period for wrestling again. So we just need to capitalize on it.
Yeah, and you think of it from a financial standpoint, especially during the hard times with everything being so expensive nowadays, and people having, for the most part, less disposable income. People are tuning in, they're buying, they're getting their butts in seats, so they're doing something right. And like you said, not just WWE, the wrestling in general is doing something.
I hate to disagree with Robert in the chat, but NXT is about to hit Dynamite numbers in the last couple of weeks. Maybe it's Dominic, maybe it's Rhea, maybe it's Judgment Day, but they're hitting the 700,000. And if you really think about it, AEW has been averaging 8 something. So NXT is drawing more than Rampage, is drawing more than Collision, and Dynamite better watch out for it.
Jimmy, we'll give this question to you from one of our longtime loyalists, Zook Enigma. He asks, were you the ref when Lesnar broke Hardcore Holly's neck?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember.
How would you not? I guess you had. That's when you had a career, when things like that. You just maybe it was me.
Oh man, I have to think about that, because you go back. There are other situations that I was in that, kind of stay there and kind of. Did I ref that match? Oh man, I'm gonna have to Google it. Somebody's gonna have to.
I wish you would have, Jimmy. I wish you would have kept a log like Jericho. Jericho has written down every match he's ever had. He knows exactly how many matches he's ever had, which I think is fascinating. I wish you would have kept a log on all the matches. I know some nights you're reffing like 5 matches, but
I am Googling and I think it was Jimmy.
I mean, for them to ask, I'd have to think there's a pretty good chance. Not that Jimmy can give us any details about it, because he doesn't really remember it. But
no, I wish I did remember it better. But if not that I, happy about Bob getting his neck broken, of course, but yes, I was in the ring. It was on SmackDown.
Was you? All right.
Yeah.
You must have found the same picture I found, because I saw your face in the background. I'm like, oh, that's Jimmy.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's the reason I didn't recognize it. I knew he was hurt, but I didn't know how bad it was until I heard about it after. And Bob is the kind of guy who, I don't want to be stretchered out.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they say Bob's hardcore, Bob is hardcore.
He's one that through any of the throwback shows, the Raw 25, whatever, he's never I don't think so, unless I'm forgetting it. He's never really resurfaced.
No.
Which is a shame. I enjoyed the hardcore Holly stuff. All right. Well, that was Dynamite tonight, and plus some other comments and questions. That was that. So Dynamite, I mean, there are things about it that definitely seem like they're putting more emphasis on trying to tell stories, which I think is all positive. And then of course there's some other stuff where it's like, you're burying big moves. You're still doing too much here. So, it continues again. It's a buffet. It's different tastes for different palates, but a lot going on. Again, tune into Collision this Saturday. What happens there will certainly be a big part of what we talk about next Wednesday as we get to Dynamite 200, their 200th episode. Wow. Which is a pretty fantastic feat for them as a company.
Right.
Final thoughts and plugs. Issa, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I there was some good wrestling. There was some stuff that I was into. There was some stuff that was a big miss. It felt a little bit skippable. There's nothing that I would tell people that are tuning in right now. Oh my God, you gotta go watch it. Maybe that one spot with Darby and Swerve, because that was crazy. You guys can find me here on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Friday, except for next Wednesday, because I am heading over to Detroit for some SummerSlam coverage. You guys can find that on Lucha Libre Online. You guys can find me over there, and also on my own social media. There will be some coverage. And as far as Puerto Rico, I will be in Mocha for WWC this Saturday. See you guys there.
Nice.
Jimmy?
Well, like there was some stuff I enjoyed again, but I thought just trying to get too much in there. I felt like the pacing of the show was off for me. And as far as where you can catch me here on Wednesday nights, usually with you guys. But I guess Lisa, next week you'll be on your way to Detroit, which enjoy, have a great time. Monday nights it's Triple J, and then Wednesdays it's the Roughing It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hempner, and I, and RJ, our host. And from Monday to Friday, you can catch me on all my social media platforms doing my Rough and Rants. Again, little critiques just to try and help, not to tear it down, because I want to see things get better from my point of view.
Very good. At Just LaBar across the socials. I'll be back Friday morning, spar with LaBar. I will also, I think I teased it some Monday. Tomorrow, we got the okay to record a fun interview. Myself and Damian Priest going to do some chat. We'll release some of that across social over the next few days. So it should be fun. Again, subscribe, like, comment, do all the things that you got to do. Help the podcast out. Share, tell a friend. Thanks to everybody in the live chat. Really appreciate it. You are a big part of our community. We love it. And for those of you listening on demand, please tweet us. Where in the world are you when you're listening? What are you doing? What are we doing to get you through? What are you procrastinating on? Love to hear it all. Thanks, Disa. Thanks, Jimmy. Be safe.